Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sunday Service Podcast. I am your host, Sister Stephanie.
I'm your host, Sister Sally.
And we are here again today on my big comfy couch. We got Thor with us in the house, always. It looks like the storms are brewing.
It does. A little gloomy out.
Yeah, I'm actually living for this.
Yeah.
Like this, I don't know why, feel like because it's nice out all the time, although it rains here and there, I like a day for it to just rain and be vibes.
And be cozy and just,
sleep.
It's okay if you want to stay. It's hard living in a place like Miami where it's always beautiful.
Yeah.
You feel like you're always wasting a day. And maybe that's growing up in the North too. I don't know. Maybe people who...
Oh, wasting a day, of course.
Yeah.
Whenever it was nice out, I was like, oh,
you better get the fuck outside.
Yeah, get cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think here it's always nice.
Yeah, I'm like, please, God, rain the whole day.
Yeah,
I need a whole day.
Let it be okay that I crawl into a hoodie and watch movies and smoke all day. Is that fine?
Yes. So that's the vibes right now for today. And I'm living for it, like I said. We have so much dog hair on the couch. I'm low-key having a brain aneurysm. But we'll handle that when this is over.
When this is over, yeah.
What in the hell was I just talking about right before we started filming? And I said I wanted to talk about that.
Oh, I think I was starting to tell you a story about, I've had a little bit of an anxious week with work because of, just remembering to remembering know my value and my worth and overthinking everything. It even made me question certain things I was posting on social media.
Like quotes.
Like quotes, just because I would say I'm an emotional poster. I share what I'm feeling.
Yeah, it's
on Instagram.
But I feel like there's a way.
It's never crazy. I'm never crying on my story.
Yeah, but there's some people on Instagram when it's oh, I could tell her and her boyfriend broke up because of the
it's not
shit that
I let
posting.
everybody into everything, but you can tell when I'm feeling strongly. You know?
So now I need to know to take your posts.
Yeah, I'm intentional with my posts, just like how I talk,
As you should.
I'm very intentional. Everything I have or say or do, it has a meaning behind it, you know? I'm not just a goofy poster. I do post silly stuff if I'm in a silly mood,
If you in a silly mood, a silly goofy mood.
But yeah, I think if I'm in a anxious, overwhelmed, I'm overthinking about an emotion I'm feeling about something in my life, I'll post a quote that says know your worth. Da, 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 da.
See, because me, I could post something and it has nothing.
I wish I was like that more.
Well, I always just post random shit or things that I think other people need to see or hear, whether it be funny or
I definitely
Did you see the one I posted yesterday about how if you really think about it, how often do you see your parents?
Did I see this?
I don't know, bitch, but I'm asking you.
How often do I see my parents? Well, now, twice a year.
Exactly. So in this video, it said, on an average, people, if you don't live with your parents, you'll probably only see your parents 20, they'll probably be alive for 20 more years, say. Just say, on average, who knows what could fucking happen. But if you don't live with your parents, the time you see your parents is so much less. So say they have another 20 years, God willing, hopefully more. On average, you'll probably only see your parents 100 more times.
Ooh,
was that the number?
Crazy.
And maybe it wasn't even 100. I think it was. Don't quote me on this. But regardless, it's not much, And it's what are you going to do with your parents when you are with them? And that goes for anyone in life. It could be the last time you do anything, So what do you make with that time with them? Especially if it's so much less as we get older. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, damn, now that I don't live home, even when I lived back in New York, I would still see them more often, but I really didn't see them all the time. Like I still see my dad maybe only twice a year. And I was like, wow, that's so true. Like we don't spend much time together. Like if you see someone twice a year and you only get one day with them, what are you going to do with that day?
Yeah.
And it was really cute.
That is cute.
And I thought other people needed to hear that. And actually people messaged me and they were like, oh my God, thank you for sharing this. I was like, oh, I did my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
There was another one that I was going to send you and then my phone died. We're having a charger crisis right now in this household. So yeah, girl, that's life right now.
Yeah. I mean, so I think like my week has kind of just been like a little like, you know, I was having some stuff with clients and like I was talking about my prices and like a lot more than I feel like I have recently.
Well, because you're working for yourself now, so
Yeah.
as you should.
So it was just like kind of like a little discouraging, I guess. But like reminding myself that like, you know, value is you can't put a price on value. You know
And
what
your
I mean?
time is valuable.
And my time's valuable. Everybody's time is valuable. Like whatever like industry you're in, like you deserve to be compensated for what you think your worth is, right? You
Absolutely.
know?
And not for nothing, the price has gone up. We are in Miami. Like
Yeah.
everything is insanely expensive here.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're traveling to clients and like walking into other people's homes, like
And that's like, I think the main thing that I was even bringing it up for was because it was making me overthink like, oh, should I post this? Because I don't want, you know, I was overthinking like
someone to take it personal or something.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, I don't, you know, at that moment, I'm like not being myself because of that. And I'm not like standing behind what I'm actually like trying to stand for with myself and my business and, you know, valuing myself. That's me not, you know.
I see a lot of people who like freelance or do any work, like even me, you know, like very adamant about their prices and stuff and sharing these things on their stories and constantly letting people know like, hey, my prices went up. Like it is what it is, bitch, you know?
Yeah. And I think like I'm just like getting used to, you know, because I told everybody like I am off on my own now. And it's still not, you know, it's still pretty fresh. And
You're adjusting.
I'm adjusting.
It's a new chapter in life.
It's like kind of one of those things like when you become like an entrepreneur, like you have to go through the ebbs and flow of like business and like, you know, some people, you know, you lose clients, you gain different ones, you know, move differently because you're working for yourself. You have to supply your own things. Like, so you have to like adjust and work accordingly. And I think it's just like, you know, being confident in what you're doing, even though you may not know how things are going to go. And that's like the biggest part about being like an entrepreneur too, is like, you don't know what tomorrow is going to be like, you know?
Diving right into the unknown. It's always the unknown and trusting that you'll get yourself.
Yeah. Like faith.
Where you,
Yeah. And that's kind of like what I did by like leaving, you know, my previous salon, was I kind of took a leap of faith and I was like driven to do that based on like choosing myself and like my value and like worth and like what I was willing to stand for and what I wasn't, you know? And I think it's like it was a huge step for me, a huge like turning point in my life, a huge like accomplishment in my personal growth. 'Cause it was like scary and like uncomfortable and, you know, I lost people that I thought were people
you'd have in your life.
I would have and could trust. And, you know, that's, I think, what we were going to get into a little bit today was like kind of why I decided to leave and talking about it because it's important to like what I believe in and what I stand for and like my values in life and morals. And, you know, it kind of like, I'll just get right into it. Like, I was, you know, working at this place for a while and I had made friends there. Like people that I would spend the majority of my time with, like literally probably 80% of my time was
How
spent
long
with
did
them.
you work there for total?
I think it was a little over a year and a half.
Yeah. If there's anything about like, because I've worked in an environment with other people, mostly women, in any job that I had. I either worked in like hair salons when I was younger, or I worked at a tanning salon when I was younger, you know? So those were the jobs where I was like with other people. And my work best friend is still my best friend from almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think we're at like 8 or 9. So you do build, I mean, you see these people every single day.
Yeah.
So you become friends with them and
You
spend
start to hang
time.
out with them
Yeah,
because
they see you every single day. So they see you no matter what you're feeling like every single day.
Yeah, and you're like, it's easier sometimes to just hang out with work friends because they know your work life, you know? So instead of going to hang out with somebody who
You're
doesn't
also
know
on
your
like
work
the
life.
same time schedule.
Yeah. So yeah, I built a lot of relationships, and basically, long story short, there was like some outside personal stuff that happened between me and people in the salon on a vacation where, you know, my best friend from back home and my boyfriend came with because they were friends with them too. Like, I'm very much so like that person that blends all my friends. Like, I'm like, why isn't everybody just hang out? You know, let's all be friends. And there was like situation that happened where my best friend was actually kind of like being bullied a little bit. And
How many people were on this trip?
I think there was 10, which is a lot.
I went on a, not to cut you off, little sidetrack really quick, but I went on a trip with, I think it was 7 girls back when I was 22 years old, and we went to Vegas, and we were not friends after that trip.
Yeah.
Like when you spend time with people, I don't know, people get
It's
weird.
different.
It's a
Yeah.
big group of people, especially when like you got something going on and they're singling you out. Oh my God, like I can totally relate to that
it
story.
was
I'll even
definitely that. It
Yeah.
was like a little bit of a singling out type situation.
You're mixing a lot of different people, especially like drinking alcohol. People are just talking shit. Like,
Yep. And that's kind of what it was. And I have been somebody who definitely like says what I think and what's on my mind the majority of the time. I have gotten pretty good at like wording things and doing it in a respectful way. And in this situation, like, you know, my very best friend was like feeling uncomfortable. She was like insecure because of it. It was like it was just not cool. It was not cool. No matter which way you flip it, it wasn't cool. It was bullying. And I saw it as that. She saw it as that. She felt that. And other people around saw it as that as well. So it was like very apparent what was going on. I decided to address it with someone who I thought was close to me, who worked with me. And basically the situation just escalated from there. And like, it was like a snowball effect. Like, work became super uncomfortable. I started feeling isolated. I started to feel
like
uncomfortable.
when you came home from this trip, you went back to work.
And it's
So things were weird
yeah.
on the trip. Started to get weird on the trip. Oh, I can totally relate to
Yeah.
this
And
bitch.
then I like walked back into work, and then there was like some rumors going around.
I remember you texting me and being like, I don't know why I feel this crazy at work.
It's like it was like the energy was unreal. So one of my coworkers that was working with me at my previous salon, who is no longer there, she felt it too, the energy. Like it was crazy. Like, and we both felt uncomfortable at work. It was going on for like 2 weeks after this vacation. Like it was actually like not cool. And like, I even tried to address it again, and I was basically like shut down. Like I was ignored at first, and then like given a very like cold response when I tried to squash and like move on. And then it like still felt weird. And then finally it came to a head after a staff meeting where like people leading the staff meeting were pretty like aggressive, and it was like hidden messages in the meeting, not addressing certain people directly. And then it was a little bit unprofessional and inappropriate and just made you not feel good, you know? And
Did you feel like it was like targeted at you?
I think me and maybe the other girl who's no longer there.
Didn't she walk out though?
She walked out right after.
Oh, okay. So she was like, I'm gonna head out.
She did.
I'm not with this shit.
And then I stayed, and I had like a full day of clients, and I ended up trying to address it with one of the people who was in charge, and it was a very not good encounter or meeting, and it was unprofessional, disrespectful, and I felt very like manipulated in the situation. I felt like there was information that I didn't even know was happening. Like I felt very like targeted. And it ended up coming to like, okay.
And the only thing you can link it to is
This.
the trip
Yep.
and the drama and the switch up.
There was like some allegations that he brought up that I was like confused by. It was just like a little bit like, what is this really? Because it was personal, but then now it's work. So it was like the lines were completely crossed and blurred. And to me, that's unacceptable in a business. Like business is separate from personal, and to like kind of blame a single employee for dynamic because of a personal issue,
something outside of work
is
period.
unprofessional.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like even more of a sense of like, this is not aligning with me right now.
But just to sprinkle in there that low key, I'm sorry guys, low key, you kind of wanted that to happen.
I did, yeah. I actually like had expressed, you know, in my personal life that I was like feeling a little bit tied down, controlled, like
over it,
not respected in my job. And I was over it. Like I was feeling very like, this is not what I stand for. This is not the behavior that I like try to practice in my life. And like, it just wasn't feeling good. And I ended up leaving, and I even heard 3 weeks after the fact that some new information came to the surface. You were with me when somebody called me.
Verbatim.
She heard the whole conversation, and somebody called me and told that had went to this salon for an appointment after the fact and felt super uncomfortable there because, you know, people were kind of trying to coerce her into seeing somebody else for her extensions. And then they were talking about me, even though like not once after the fact.
Mind you, right before you got that phone call, we were just talking about how you wish these people well.
Yeah,
like,
I was.
made peace with this.
Yeah.
Like this happened for a reason.
I wasn't even talking negative about anything.
I hope they're good. Like
Yeah.
hopefully it's not really like that.
And it just was so
nasty.
like, I couldn't, like, you saw me. I was like,
I mean,
in
even
disbelief. Like,
right.
what?
And even before that, like the whole situation, without getting into like the specific things that happened and the things that were said, like even from an outsider's point of view, that was like grown-ups bullying.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
It's
And
so corny and ugly and disgusting and whack that people can't like self-reflect and see that that's being a bully.
And I told you this too. I was like, I'm such like a strong,
Hater,
independent
bully.
woman. For me to admit too that like I feel like I'm being bullied is like kind of weird for me to say. Like, cause like I don't think that I'm like somebody that's easily
yeah, like we're not in middle school.
No,
like,
but like that's how it felt. I was like, what is like
well, that shit
this
too,
behavior? Like
that another thing, just like in general, hair salons and places where people are talking and people are friends, especially a big one, and just any place of work, like people bully. Yeah. Like there's like alliances and shit. It's
well, and then the person that called me at this time too, saying all this, also had overheard them literally blatantly talking about how this person who I had went on vacation with, supposed to be my very close friend, had showed the owner's text messages, personal text messages between her and I when we were close friends, in a sense to basically sabotage. I mean, I don't see any other word for it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that she was looking at it like she was doing that. She was just talking fucking shit.
I mean, you don't go to owners unless you're trying to like create something.
Yeah, you
You
know, I
know?
just be seeing the good in people, and you're right. Fuck
Like
that. No,
if
you're
it's
right.
like if you're like talking to your friends, like, oh my God, look at this.
Yeah.
But you're sending
No, yeah, you're
texts.
right. Sorry, don't let me forget what we're talking
Yeah.
about, because no, that shit was fucked
So
up.
it's very like like there's an ulterior motive to that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from a deep place of either insecurity, or actually insecurity and like
jealousy,
envy, hatred, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
There's really no positive word for it, but like doing that to somebody is like not okay.
it's
you
not
know?
okay. And the story that I was talking about before, your story actually reminded me of this. But like I said, I went to Vegas with a big group of girlfriends, and this goes with like any chapter in your life. I was friends with these girls for like 2.5, I think, solid years, and we had so much fun together. Like, these were my girls. And, you know, we're all grown now. Like, everyone wishes each other the best. But like at this specific period in my life, I was like, I don't know, 22 years old. And, you know, you're young. I worked at a tanning salon. Like, I was signed with the modeling agency in the city. I would work, and we had a lot of free time. We would hang out all the time. We would just do so much together. So these were my friends.
Yeah.
And we had like an annual Vegas trip. So we did it like 2 years in a row. So it was supposed to happen a third time, and it never did, because the second time around, and these were like my friends that I thought we would be like living life together, you know? And we went on this trip, and we spent way too long in Vegas. Anything longer than 2 days in Vegas is
Oh my
like
God, too much. Yeah.
too much, you know, especially if you're doing all this shit, you know, like it's a lot.
Yeah.
And long story short, and it's actually not going to be, okay. Long story short, I was getting mean girled like crazy. And it was like something so fucking stupid that caused it. I'll actually tell you what I think. This wasn't the only thing, but there was a couple of things. Do you remember when that Kira app was a thing? It was like that app
No.
that any video you took that had sparkles, it would like make them sparkle more. Okay, so this is so fucking stupid, guys. And I'm sure someone can relate to this. But my girlfriend showed it to me, and I was like, that shit is dope as fuck. And I actually had like a sparkly dress for one of the nights we were in Vegas. I can't make this shit up. And we were all like back in a hotel partying, drinking, like being hella ratchet. We would have so much fun. And I thought we were having the best time ever. And I started to feel a little like mean girled for a sec. I didn't even know why. I was like, what the fuck? And I asked my girlfriend to take a video of me walking in the dress with the Kira app. And I knew that my friend got pissed, the one that showed me it, about the Kira app. Like, I knew that was one of the things. I was like, why? You didn't fucking make the app. Like, Why can't I use it? It was the dumbest thing. Obviously, this was years ago. This is like stuff 22-year-olds might worry about. Now I'm like, okay, that would never happen. But like, that was one of the things. And then so many other things happened. The energy was just so weird. We were all supposed to fly home together. And then me and my like best friend, who I also worked with at the time, who is still my best friend, we were like, let's just extend our trip, stay here, and then have a day for ourselves. We'll go fucking riding on roller coasters and shit. And then, you know, when we went home and it was finally time to leave Vegas, my plane caught on fire that night. But that's another story for another time. Let me know.
No,
I think I've told
like,
this before, but we could really get into it. It was just a crazy series of events. But in that time in my life, I was like, damn, like, and it was so unspoken. Like, we just never spoke again. Like, we made sure everyone got home okay. And then, like, we just weren't friends. And I was like, damn, like, I really loved them. That was so weird.
I know. Honestly,
I couldn't believe it. I was like, I could self-reflect, especially after the fucking plane caught on fire and I had to think about my life and shit. I was like, did I do something to make them like just switch up on me?
That's the whole thing. Is the minute I started questioning myself and like my sanity of the situation, I was like, yo, this is actually not okay.
Yeah.
That somebody can make you feel like you.
These things are gonna happen in your life at all different stages and ages of life.
But here's the thing, though, is like I'm very, 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 very adamant, and I'm gonna say this like very like truthfully and respectfully, but like the way I was treated in my last meeting was like unacceptable. Like bullying, manipulation, unprofessionalism.
Like you're not gonna stand for
it's
it.
absolutely unokay. Like I'm not, and
Setting
that's
boundaries.
you have to set boundaries in your life, and like the only reason like there's this type of stuff happens so frequently and it's so like normal is because we allow it to happen. And it happens a lot in the workplace. It happens a lot in any like service type industry place. It happens a lot with females.
It happens in friendships,
Yeah, it's
anywhere
just,
where
like-
you're like entangled with other people.
And the only way that you can make an impact or change anything of that sort is to like stand up for it and like, you know,
away from
speak
that
up
shit.
and like,
And speak
you know,
up.
you need to speak up. You can't just like be quiet. And this goes back to a bunch of stuff we've talked about with abusive relationships, with everything. Like if you stay quiet, you're doing just as bad as the person, you know, doing the thing. You know, you can't like be an innocent bystander in something that's wrong, you know? And that's kind of like where I came to a realization when I was there was like, this is something that I'm not okay standing by just to work in a place.
I also said to you at one point, because that's not to say it didn't upset you and you didn't have to sit with it for a little while. Like I remember that day like was very emotional for you.
Yeah.
And then there was one point where we talked and I was like, what did I say to you? I wish this is how my brain be working. I mean, we talked about the whole situation in general on the phone. And I was like, as long as you know your truth and you know who you are, like, I know you, Sally. Like,
Yeah.
you're someone who can self-reflect whether you're, like, you can admit if you're
Yes.
wrong.
Oh,
I think you're at a
yes.
place in your life where you can be okay with being wrong and want to learn that about yourself and work on it, right? Like, that's what everyone should aspire to do. As long as you know your truth, who gives a fuck about what they feel or what they have to say? Like, same goes back to that friendship that I had back in my 20s, like, or in my, I'm aging myself, bitch. Chill out. I'm still in my 20s. But the group that I was friends with, like in my early 20s, I thought was going to be my friends forever. And I mean, I still wish them the best.
Yeah.
Like I still wish love, and we've all kind of been like cool with it by now.
Yeah.
Little things have happened, whatever. But I just had to be okay with being like, I know that I didn't do anything to deserve to like feel singled out or like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like if they like think something else, like that's their truth. Like,
And we've
the
said
only thing
this-
that matters is my truth.
We've said this before too. You teach people how to treat you, you know? So if you stand back and let somebody at work bully you and you just like conform and say sorry because it's easier and it sets the tone back to normal and like, okay, you're popular again. Like, no, fuck that. Like we are adults and you need to like stand up for what you believe in and who you are and like you have a voice. Otherwise, like you're literally just becoming a follower at that point. And I know me, I was not put on this earth to be a follower, you know? Like, and this has nothing to do with like, I'm not saying like you should go and quit your job. Like that's not what I'm saying.
No, but
like,
walk away from anything that's not serving
Yes,
you, period,
yeah.
bitch.
And if it's damaging your life, your self-esteem and confidence
making
and like
you feel anxious.
no, that is not worth your happiness. And you couldn't pay me all the money in the world to put up with something like that. Like, cause then at that point I'm sitting here on this podcast speaking positivity and I'm your sister. And if I would have stayed at that job, like who would I be really? Like then I'd be kind of a clown for that.
And then it just opens the door it opens so many doors for so many more new, amazing opportunities. Like, you know,
yeah.
as long as you set that standard for yourself, it'll never be anything below that.
Exactly. And as long as you kind of just go through the motions and lets shit slide, that's where you're going to stay, you know? So it's kind of like you decide your own destiny, and like it's like you just have to have faith and know that like you know what's best for you. And you don't have to, you know.
Every relationship, everything, every work relationship, everything you do. Mm-hmm. Amen, sister.
Amen. I mean, I was actually very nervous about coming on and talking about this because it makes me feel super vulnerable. Like I'm like still trying to remain respectful. I never want to like come across as, you know, somebody who's trying to disrespect. But I do think that the whole object of this podcast for us is to remain vulnerable with you guys and like really speak the truth and not like hide things. So I think that was really important for me to share. And I just like...
I agree. And I think that anyone at any age can relate to this. Well, I wouldn't say any age, but like girls in their 20s, like these things are going to happen, you know, like...
Even in your 30s, because girl, I'm 31.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I was like, you know...
It's going to happen throughout your whole life. Like you're going to, you know, you can always... This is one thing that I still struggle with day to day is remembering that not everybody thinks like me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I preach. Don't expect anyone to be the way you want them to be.
Just because you're showing so much love and care and you're going 100% into your relationships, whether that be work, personal, friends, family, whatever, and they're not reciprocating, that doesn't mean that they're like bad people. It just means that they're not like you know?
Yeah, and that's most people. I mean, I don't know anyone like me.
No, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Like we're all just ourselves learning.
And you can decide like what you're willing to like have in your space too. Mm-hmm. It's okay not to have a million friends. It's okay not to be popular. Like as the older you get, and like I can say that from my personal experience, the older I get, I'm realizing like people come and go, you know?
Seasons of life.
Yeah, and it's okay.
Yeah, and things are always changing.
Yeah, and it's always going to be...
Some people are lessons.
Yeah, some people are there forever. Some people are there just for a season, and yeah.
Make peace with everything in your life. Oh, this weather got me.
Bottom line, know your worth.
Yes.
Ladies.
Always know your worth.
Fellas. Know your worth.
Everyone. Thor, know your worth. He does know his worth.
And take that leap of faith and just like trust that everything's going to be great. I think that's like a good place for us to like wrap this up too.
Let's wrap it up. Yeah, we could wrap it up. I'm enjoying this weather right now.
Time to be cozy and have a good day.
Yeah. Of chilling.
Chilling.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to the Sunday Service podcast. We will see you next week. We love you so much. Goodbye.